It's live now.
Are you able to hear audio? Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, it's coming through there. Yeah.
Is there a control on it? Yeah. Okay, so you guys are going to need to talk into both microphones. So this is our live stream mic. Yes, it is. Okay. Watch the cable.
Okay.
Welcome to those on the live stream.
Sure. Can we swap?
Sure.
No. Wait. That's better. Okay. Harrison. We're on.
You have to keep it very close to your mouth or we're going to get feedback.
Okay.
So as close as possible. I know
Okay.
it's uncomfortable, but
Yep.
like a singer.
Yep, sure. Okay.
Are there any sound and platform brothers here that can help adjust these microphones for us, please?
No, we're all good. All right, well, I think we're ready to start.
Yep.
Really?
Well, after that rousing introduction, welcome officially, everybody. It's amazing to have you all here. This has been probably 12 months in the planning. We've had a lot of thought and a lot of discussion go into this. It's really a genuine pleasure to welcome you all here. Thanks for the great efforts of so many that have come from all over the place to attend. We're really, really happy to have everyone. Big round of applause, everyone. Welcome. Live stream? Yep.
So don't freak out. Hang on, what have I done? This is the problem when a woman holds a microphone. Woman holding microphones tends to be a challenge, and we've got two. So want to just welcome the live stream. How many have we got on the live stream so far? Oh, crumbs. 267 on the live stream, and we have about 120 here in the room. So this is a fantastic event. We're so happy to have you all here. Just a few housekeeping items. A reminder for the red lanyards that because of the live stream, if you come forward past the middle partition, you run the risk of being on camera. So just be aware of that. All right, so the first one here. So you can mill 3/4 in the room fairly safely.
Hello to all those on the live stream.
Yes, welcome everybody. Bathrooms are just across the corridor in the hallway. Throughout the afternoon, you'll note some of the wait staff will be coming around with canapes and drinks, tea and coffee, which is all included in your being here today. There is also a bar where you can purchase alcoholic drinks, which I will be heading to shortly. Now, we've talked about the lanyards a little bit, but just to explain a little bit more, the yellow lanyards are organisers. So if you have any questions about today, please feel free to approach any of them. The green lanyards are happy to be on film. The reds, as we've said, are not. So feel free to take photos of anyone with a green lanyard, post it on every social media platform that you want to, that's fine. But please respect those wearing red lanyards. We do want to make sure that they're looked after and protected. I want to, at this point, just thank DDs, who are the group that have allowed us to be here today. They have been doing a fantastic job. They've been so helpful. No request we've made has been too much. So we're really grateful for the welcome that they've given us here too. To give you a bit of an outline on what we're going to be doing this afternoon, we're going to have speeches, there'll be some interviews, we've got some door prizes that we're going to give away. We also have book signings that will happen throughout the afternoon with the books that Lloyd's brought along with him. And what we'll be doing is playing sound bites so that we don't have to yell at you over the microphone to get your attention, and we don't have to chink glasses. We will be playing some music to get your attention. As soon as you hear that music, and you'll very quickly pick up on a theme. We had some fun picking some little music clips. No Kingdom melodies. We tried to keep the triggers to a minimum. Do make sure that you've written on a ping pong ball for the door prizes. And the door prizes are, well, we have some wonderful door prizes, as you can see. Some lovely bottles of Moe that have been donated from Auntie Bev. Thank you, Auntie Bev. And we also have 4 copies of Crisis of Conscience here that have been signed by a number of our activists. So we figured that would make a nice prize for you as well. So stay tuned for the door prizes. But most importantly, today is about all of us. It's about celebrating the fact that we've left a high control religion. We've come from all over. We're so excited that so many have travelled from interstate. And of course, we have our international visitors as well. The purpose of the day is to celebrate regaining our lives, to share our stories with each other, and to support one another. Some of you I know have had to have a lot of courage and bravery to come on your own here today, but you are not alone. And we're giving out free hugs. So we hope that you really enjoy the day.
So similar to what Sherry was just saying, I guess we had a bit of a theme for the day, that today is all about becoming better, not bitter. We've had enough happen in our lives, in our history. We've all walked a similar path, but we don't want today to be consumed by the negativity that we've been through. This is all about becoming better, not bitter. Thank you. We'll definitely acknowledge the past histories, the things that we've had in common, but we've come out the other side as individuals, and that's probably one of the biggest things that we are stressing today too. We've come out as people with self-respect, dignity, worth, and individuality, and that's something to be celebrated. We are not clones of one another anymore. So let's support one another. It's often been said that for so long, our whole life, our new personality, if you like, our very DNA as Jehovah's Witnesses was defined by a faceless organisation. And yes, it's helped to form who we are today to some extent. There's no denying that. But the danger is that we remain the same black and white thinkers now that we're on the other side. So today we want to just say, we're free to be individuals, we're free to grow, free to develop possible versions of ourselves that we can be. And gatherings and meetups like this are such an important thing to do. And we encourage people to do that in all parts of the world, in all parts of Australia. Reach out, develop this sense of community. It's so essential to do that. Look after your own self-fulfillment, grow as a person, grow as an individual, and most importantly, regain happiness. So why are we here? Well, we value truth and honesty. That's what brings us all here today. Be proud of who we are. It's been well said too that the best revenge, or the best answer to our past, is to live a happy and successful life. So let's do that. So with this wave of momentum starting today, we want to just encourage everyone to get to know one another. If you don't know someone in the room, please make yourself known, introduce yourselves. I can definitely say you never know where these friendships might develop to. Just put yourself out there, introduce yourself to someone new, and before long, you will have the most amazing depths of friendships come out of it. So with a lot more to happen throughout the day, I'll hand you back to Sherry, who is our chairperson for the day.
So to really start off this afternoon, we're privileged to have several distinguished guests here today who've been instrumental in our leaving the Jehovah's Witness religion. But we must acknowledge that there is one here today that deserves a very special mention. He gave voice to so many of us, wielding a formidable intellect, revealing a compassionate and sensitive understanding to the culture of the Jehovah's Witness religion, even schooling a governing body member on scriptural precedents. We really don't know how to adequately thank him for all he and his team did during the Australian Royal Commission. However, we would very much like to present a small token of our gratitude to the Honourable Justice Angus Stewart. It's a challenge holding two at the same time.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Sherry. That's fantastic, and it's a great honor that you honor me in this way. But I really want to emphasize that this is not about me; it's about you. And I have massive respect for all of you, all of you here and elsewhere, who have made the break with the JW organization, and I know how difficult that can be. And it's when I say I know that only from what I've learned from people, and it's just quite extraordinary. And I just didn't have any sense at all of the impact it would have on my own life when I was briefed to do the Royal Commission case study into the Jehovah's Witnesses. I thought at the time, well, this is just another case study. It's another brief. I do those all the time. And I'll get on and I'll do it to the best of my ability. But it was only when I started really getting into the material that I realized how important the work was. And I want to pay tribute also to the team that worked with me at the Royal Commission. I was just the front person asking the questions, but really there was a whole team of very dedicated, very public-spirited lawyers and others who were putting it all together and making sure that I was on track. So a great tribute to them. But it's been immensely rewarding doing this work and getting to know so many of you and seeing how much difference it's made in the lives of people. And it's just been hugely rewarding and a great honor to be here today. And congratulations to you all. And thank you also to all of you. Thank you.
Well, I think we've set the bar really high now, so no pressure. So you've now got about 15 minutes for the next break. Please, first company, look out for the soundbite.
For those on the live stream, we'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Oh, no, stop. Okay. All right, everyone, there was your cue. Okay. It's wonderful to hear all the chatter and that everyone's enjoying themselves. It's really great to see. So there were many people. I think we've got over 400 on the live stream now. We're just confirming numbers. 316 on the live stream. Maybe the 80 will come back.
It's not bad. It's the
No, that's
middle of
very
the
good.
night.
Yeah, true. It is the
Yeah.
middle of the night. So there were many people that couldn't join us today that wanted to from all areas of the world. And so what they've done instead is they've contributed a video. So we're just going to watch a video presentation, and you might recognize a few faces who all have some well wishes for this day.
Hi everybody, it's Mike Sherlock from Indiana, United States, also from the ex-JW Life podcast and the Done podcast. Just wanted to reach out and say thank you to everybody who participates in the community, all the voices that come together to do videos and podcasts and websites. You know, when I do my interviews on the podcast, I ask people what helped them and what resources helped them. And a lot of times it's JW Facts, it's John Cedar's videos, it's podcasts and things like that. So just thank you to everybody for participating and for making your stories known. And send my love from Indiana, and I hope you guys have a great time.
Hey everyone, my name is Andy Mackey from Maui, Hawaii, and Sasha and Sherry invited me to be there with all of you, but unfortunately I wasn't able to make it. So I just want to send my love and aloha to everybody there, and I especially want to thank Paul Grundy for JWFacts.com and Lloyd Evans for the John Cedars channel. They were both a big help in helping me to wake up and seeing the real truth about the truth. So, love you all. Take care. Aloha.
Hello all, this is a greeting from beautiful Colorado. I wish I could be there with you guys, but this is the best I can do. I really appreciate all of the work that both you, Paul, and Lloyd do for the ex-JWs Witness community, and I implore you to please keep up the good work, and we're here to support you. Bye.
Hello everybody, this is the hand of Cobra Fade, and I am coming to you from a hotel room in Boston because I planned this thing really well, and yeah, life is kind of crazy right now, so apologies for the slightly impromptu nature of this video. I just want to say a huge hello to everyone who's there, to Lloyd, to Cliff, to Chloe, to Sherry, to Sasha, to Mark, and basically everybody, because I know that there's a lot of people there who work behind the scenes. I know there's a lot of you there who have helped out in many different ways to help the ex-JW community. Sometimes we know people's names, sometimes people need to keep their names hidden, kind of like I do. And there's one thing we all have in common, and that's that we're all ex-JWs witnesses. And that means we all had to overcome and leave a brainwashing cult. And the fact that we left, despite all of the hardship and all of the pain and all of the challenge, means that we've overcome a special kind of trial that very few people will ever have to overcome. So everybody in this room has already demonstrated an incredible amount of bravery and strength. And so remember that when you're going out to face new challenges in life, you've already kicked the ass of something that most people will never have to defeat. So well done everyone for all your hard work, and thank you so much to everyone who's made this community a fantastic place to be, and to everyone who's helped out in their own ways to help other Jehovah's Witnesses find their freedom and start rebuilding their lives. Have fun in Australia, guys, and I'll hopefully see you soon.
Hey, it's Ben and Debbie Rancourt from Northern BC, Canada, saying hi and thank you. Paul and Lloyd and the whole team for everything you do.
Hi, greetings from Oregon. I'm Sarah. This is Andrew. Just wanted to say, so sorry we couldn't make it. Hopefully we'll all get to meet in the future face to face.
I just want to give a thank you to all the activists who are here, really doing all of the work you do and helping all these people who are caught in this oppressive cult. A special shout out to Lloyd and Mark. Thank you for helping people, us included, and really striving to show the truth about the truth. And before we go, last but not least,
Jackson here. I just want to say hi to everybody in Australia. I so wish I could have been there at your event with you, but I just want to say hi to everybody, to Sasha and Sherry and to Lloyd Evans and Paul Grundy, ex-JWs Fifth, and whoever else is there. You guys do amazing work. We are all the shunned and the damned, and people say horrible things about us within the community that we came from. But you guys know the real truth, and that is that you guys are literally saving thousands of people's lives. You're putting families back together, and you're making real friends out there, and you do amazing work. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you do, and I wish all the best of success for your event, and all the best of everything to all of you. Thank you again.
Hi, we just wanted to express our gratitude for the work that you do from our family to yours, and we appreciate the sacrifices that you and your family make for all the activism work. And Georgia has something to say. Who's
It's Uncle Lloyd, that's it.
Say hi, Uncle Lloyd.
Hi Lloyd, and good day Mike to all the other people. I just want to say thank you for helping my mum and dad, and thanks to you, I'm able to go to the meetings now, so.
I want to thank you for all your hard work, for studying about the organisation and letting people know that they don't have to be forced to do things that they don't want to do. See you.
Thanks, Ash, for putting it together.
So a big thank you to Ash Barrett for putting that together for us. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed seeing that. And I love that we ended with Isaac and Maya, because that's really what it's all about. It's making sure that the next generations are not trapped in this religion and that they can live life free. So now we want to hear from some of our activists. We want to hear from them personally. There is one here who has been very involved in filming a certain documentary called The Truth About the Truth. And he brought his crew out from LA to film quite a number of events this week. We've had a lot of fun getting to know the team. But we would like to know how the film is progressing and how the events of the week has gone. So please warmly invite Javier Ortiz. Now, I know you work with sound.
I do.
And you're also male, so you should have this nailed.
I can hold it if you want. Hello, everybody. So this is kind of funny because the last time I...
Sorry to interrupt.
Boom. The last time I spoke before this many people was the last talk I gave at a Kingdom Hall. So thank you all for coming. On behalf of Cliff, Joel, Lloyd, Juan, where's Chloe? I don't see Chloe. Chloe, Becca on the camera. We just want to say thank you for the hospitality and all the happy, smiling faces. So Sherry, I think, do you want me to talk about the film or? Okay, so we're filming The Truth About the Truth. Here is actually because of all of you. A couple of weeks ago, we did a crowdfunding campaign through Lloyd's channel and Juan's nonprofit organization, and the response was overwhelming. We were able to fund this trip with our crew and almost all of the other travel that we have planned for 2019. So we're hoping to finish the film December 2019 and enter post-production. So please, if you don't already follow the project page, TTATT Film on Facebook, please do for updates and little snippets and behind-the-scenes footage and all that good stuff. So thank you all again. I'll pass the microphone back to Debbie.
I think we're all eagerly anticipating that documentary, especially because this week on Thursday, the crew took a trip to Bethel and did a tour at Bethel. And it was quite successful, I believe. So we look forward to seeing the results of your documentary, and thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing. So now we would like to invite one of our dear friends up, who is a little bit famous. He was on the Elders, stop it, Elders Tell All Part 2 on the John Cedars channel. David Schmid is going to have a discussion with Paul Grundy and Lloyd Evans, so please come up, Dave.
Thanks, guys. Where do you want this? Where do you want them to be?
Well, they need
Informal.
to be maybe informal, standing here. Or
So if I'm going to be interviewing these two blokes, I might need them over here. Now, some would say I've got the privilege of interviewing them. I would say I've got the ordeal of interviewing them. Now, they're both decent blokes. They've both got up-and-coming ex-JW websites. You might have heard of them. JW Survey, JW Facts. Check them out. Add to their numbers. They could do with a bit of a boost, if you don't mind. Not that we're nationalistic, but the Aussie was first. Mind you, the Brit sports the proper apostate beard. So I'll have to leave it up to you guys to decide who's more badass. Anyway, so seeing as they're both incredible activists, it's an absolute honour to have you guys here, and thank you for all your work. So do you guys have mics, or? Yeah, and we'll just pass over. That might help. Yes, stage left. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So when you first started your activism, can you talk about maybe, we'll start with Paul. Can you talk about what your goal was when you started your activism?
So I didn't really start it as activism. I just wrote a lot of information to try and just help myself, just stop all that looping going on in your head. And then I just put the pages up there so my parents could read it. Not that my father ever did. I found out when he died, but then it's sort of on the internet. I just started getting emails from people saying that they were that had saved their life. A lot of incredible emails. And so I was not expecting to leave it up there. I was hoping I was going to be able to just get away from the religion, get it all behind me, start a new life. And and then from all the emails I got, I sort of realized it's something that I don't think I'll ever get away from. But at the same time, it's something that brings a lot of joy and a lot of incredible experiences to my life.
Lloyd, your goals, your plans when you started your activism?
I guess it was just to share my ideas. And I have to say, while I have this opportunity with him next to me, that this is the guy that, one of the two guys that helped wake me up. The other one's passed away. His name's Raymond Franz. So it was Ray Franz and Paul Grundy that helped wake me up. So anyone that I might have helped in any way, shape or form can thank this guy, as far as I'm concerned. So it's a huge honor to be here with Paul. But I guess when I first started my activism, it was just about sharing my ideas and how big the problem was and what I could possibly do to contribute in any way, shape or form. I figured if I can wake up one person, then it's job done, you know? And I think that's the best place to start from, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that they talk about when people write a book, you write a book because you have an idea that no one's done before. And when I was coming out, it took me like 10 years to actually get out. And it took so much time to find information. So once I did my website, one of the main things was I didn't want everyone else have to spend just the thousands of hours I did going through books and getting things out of the library and finding little websites online. So I just wanted to have one spot that someone could start, you know, read from end to end and know everything. And I do get emails now where people have somehow they stumbled on the website on Friday night, and by Sunday they haven't slept. They've read every single page, and they're not going back to meetings. So it's sort of achieved, I guess, what I hope to do.
I think we can all relate to that early binge of no sleep. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe I was just wondering, do you remember the first person who emailed you in response to your work? Or maybe some sort of standout experience which, stands out compared to some of the more regular ones?
So I can't remember the first one. I actually, I don't feel very old, but I feel like the grandfather here because I've been doing my website for 14 years. And as I said, Ray Franz was really the man before that. And I did have the pleasure to speak to Ray Franz a number of times and get some guidance from him. One of the things that he actually told me is that the majority of witnesses that leave are so bitter. The majority of websites are just really, they lose their credibility by being so bitter, and to try and retain that sort of, sense of reality and not to have that bitterness sort of change the message there. So I sort of can, I guess, thank him. But I get an incredible amount of emails where people say that they were on the verge of suicide, and I think that's either suicide or depression is certainly part and parcel with leaving the religion. You've been convinced your whole life that you will become nothing and worthless, and there's nothing out there. And so to be able to sort of see people through that year or two where you go from that life to this life, the emails are really beautiful to read.
I definitely don't remember the first because it all started years ago. I think my activism started in 2011. That was when JW Survey was founded. And there were messages before that on forums and that kind of thing. So it's difficult to remember the first. I can remember a few notable ones, like when the Australian Royal Commission was underway, I happened to be attending a wedding in Belgium, so I couldn't be all over it like I would have liked to. And I had an email from some guy saying, I noticed you're a bit quiet and there's no article on JW Survey. Do you mind if I submit an article for you to decide whether you want to put it up there or not? And I read it and it was fantastic. So I said yes. And that guy was Covert Fade, and he ended up becoming the editor of JW Survey. And I also got an email from some guy in Maryland saying he was just waking up and his wife was a bit far behind him, and he needed a little bit of guidance. So we became friends, and of course he became John Redwood and an integral part of the work that we do on JW Survey. And he's here today, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. So he deserves a massive round of applause. And I know he likes being rugby tackled by Australians. So if the mood takes you, yeah.
Especially if they're in Bethel on tour. I'd like to ask you about what are your plans for the future of your work, and if you think that there is any void in the ex-JW activism community that you feel might be addressed by a different type of approach.
mean, I've seen it come a long way. When I was online, there was sites like Commentary Press, sites that didn't really, it was very, very hard to find, or AOL./ and really difficult sites to, they're my site, sort of like a bit of an encyclopedia, a bit sort of bland. And then now you've got the really interactive sites like Lloyd's, and then a lot of YouTube. So I think it's evolving and becoming a lot more professional. I think the Mormons actually are maybe even next level in some of the video production work that they're doing, and it's great to have Juan and the team actually putting together something that professional. I have a new website coming as well, and just to make things a little bit simpler. I think when I was leaving, you'd go on the forums and there would be these really, really long doctrinal debates, and you'd have the Trinitarian ex-JWs witnesses on there, and then you'd have the other ex-JWs witnesses and the atheists and the witnesses, actual active witnesses, and they have these really big doctrinal debates. And I've seen that over time that's changing. People have very short attention spans. They just want to have those sound bites, and you know, they will eventually get to the point where they want to really maybe solidify what they believe, but you really need to have some quick sort of quirky things to get their interest. So yeah, I will be launching another site that is just very short and sweet, sort of one single points that people can remember and then convey hopefully to other people.
Sounds good.
So is it, what do I have in store?
Yeah, what are your plans? Do you think there's a void in the market?
I think the void is whatever people feel that they can contribute, because I can't envision all of the many people who are going to step forward and bring their own talents and skills and presentation to the table. So never ever think that Paul and I or anyone else has cornered the market on activism, because we really haven't. We're just sharing our research, our ideas, our studies. That doesn't mean that this is the only way to do it. So nobody think, oh, I'd only be repeating what they've said, because when you say it for the first time, someone could be hearing it for the first time. So no, I'm always fascinated to see what people can come up with. And in my own work, I'm absolutely thrilled to be working on the Truth About the Truth documentary. I'm really excited about its potential to reach a new audience. I'm excited in general about the amount of exposure Jehovah's Witnesses are getting, such as with the Aftermath and various documentaries. So just keep plugging away and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I think there's a range of activists, and they all do things in different ways. So there's some that storm Kingdom Halls, and some that picket, and some that have, say, a website that might have a Christian bent or an atheist bent. And me personally, I mean, I obviously can't say that I condone people doing something illegal, but I think every single approach reaches some person. And so my approach is not going to reach everyone. Lloyd's approach won't reach everyone, but I think it's being authentic is going to reach some people that need that approach. And so if other people have some other way that they think is going to be successful, they should feel free to try and do that, because they will reach other people that relate to what they think. I've asked questions of people, what made you leave? And for some it's doctrine, for some it's the scandal, for some it's the lack of love. You know, everyone is different, and so, but just being able to be yourself, you'll reach people that resonate with yourself. So yeah, I think everyone should, if they have that desire to, not to feel that their approach is lesser than someone else's, because it will reach somebody.
Good advice, I think. So the message is, if you're thinking about it, get to it. And you will get the feedback that these guys got in the early stages too, and you'll have that reward for sure. Final question: do you have any advice for those who, I guess for most of us here, we've probably been out a fair while, but for those who might be watching who have recently woken up and maybe dealing with the whole family situation, any advice that you might want to share to, I know, even just help them feel like they're not alone?
I think the first thing is to take it slow. When you find out some things, you can be very, very passionate and very angry, etc. So some people maybe react very quickly without thinking through the long-term consequences. So the first thing is to do the research and get advice, and be sort of strategic about how you leave. And then the next step is that there is going to be loss, and so whatever you do, it's going to be difficult and painful. But there's less loss in leaving and being true to yourself than living for other people who are going to abandon you at some point in time anyway. So just to do it, maybe not immediately, but planned and to do it. And then after that, not to be bitter. Don't let it destroy the rest of your life. That's happened, but you owe it to yourself to really sort of then move on and be grateful that you can then become and live the life that you want to live, rather than looking back and just not being able to move on.
Well, we have a saying where I come from, and probably they have it here as well: kill them with kindness. I think that there's no limit to what you can achieve if those who are behind you, who are in a different place mentally and emotionally, you are sincere about the reasons why you have distanced yourself from these beliefs. Show it. Don't thrust it down their necks. Wait for them to approach you, as they inevitably will if they think that you're doomed to die at Armageddon. So bide your time, be patient, cautious like serpents, innocent as doves. Sorry to trigger you all. But yeah, just be kind. And I think it's not always going to work out for whatever reason, but at least make it as possible to work out.
Thank you very much. It has been a privilege to have you here. Thank you for coming and making the time. Thank you for those thoughts. And can we get a round of applause for their work? Thank you. I'll just say a couple of things in conclusion. Speaking for all of us, I think we're all very grateful, just the body of work that these two have put out, that we feel that we can comprehensively move on. We don't have any lingering doubts or fears. We can truly move on with our lives. Speaking personally, I know that the fact that I found JW Facts first, then Lloyd's work, and the fact that it was presented in a calm, accurate way meant everything. When I went to JW Facts, I was shaking, and I thought, I'm going to debunk this guy. I'm going to prove that he's taking everything out of context, that he's lying. And within, I would say, a matter of minutes or hours, I realized there's only one entity who's lying to me. So thank you for being accurate and calm and measured. I think, well, again, speaking personally, I have you to thank for my freedom. And I hope in a few years I can thank my kids' freedom for you as well, to you as well. So thank you for your time. Did I go over 20 minutes?
No, you got a G on timing. It's all good.
Audience contact, use of notes. Yeah, you can keep moving up on the school.
If you can't tell, I'm reveling in doing this whole mail roll thing. I'm having a ball here. So thank you very much for that, Dave. That was fantastic. It was really great to hear from Lloyd and Paul, and great questions. That was very good. So now we have a break for 15 minutes before the next segment, which will be door prizes.
For those on the live stream, we'll be back in 15 minutes.
All right. It's time. Okay. I have some little helpers with me for the door prize. That wasn't me. Oh, thanks, Troy. So in order to do these draw prizes, I've asked for a little bit of help from Jessica Evans and from Sierra Greg. Well, because I think this part needed some cuteness. So here's cuteness. Now, I think what we'll have to do for the door prizes is, Sasha, can you take here? So all the ping pong balls are in this box here. So to start, can we ask Jessica to pull a ping pong out, please? Have a good rummage around. Of course. Okay, I'm onto something here already. She's going to pick all the pink ones. That would have been a really good ploy. Can I have the name? Thank you. Ha! Mr. Alan Perry. Where are you, Alan? Have a bottle of Moe. Hey!
Beautiful, thank you. Beautiful.
All right, I think it's your turn now, Sierra.
Do we call this the shaky, shaky box?
I think the shaky, shaky box is already taken. And we don't have a golden splendid interior, but anyway. Okay, Sierra, now rummage around. I think what we're going to have to do is you're going to have to close your eyes because I think they're going to just pick their favourite colours. No, don't pick your favourite colour. Okay. Anytime. Oh, well done. Oh, Cherie. There you go. Enjoy. Okay. Now, your challenge, Jessica, is to not pick a pink ball. Pick a different colour. Well done. Steel. Steel. You got a red lanyard or... No, I think you were green, weren't you? Yes, good. Here you go. Congratulations. All right. You're... Oh, I don't think I can give you a bottle of Moe if you pick your name. You go pick one. Oh. Ah. Now I'm just trying to remember lanyard colours here. I will give it to you afterwards. It's you. You're welcome. Okay. All right, whose turn are we up to? Yours? Jessica's. Okay. Oh, we're distracted by lollies. Would you like to pick one out? Oh, two for the price of one. Well, this is going to be awkward. Okay. We can do this. Yeah, okay. All right, we have a Mike C. Oh, yes. Very good idea. Ooh. Hey, Mike. These are very clever logos.
Do you want the drink or you want the t-shirt?
You take All right. And my 2-for-1 deal here is Dave Schmid. Okay, so Moe or a shirt? You go the shirt. It's a really clever logo. I like that. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, Billy. Thank you. Lanyard. So I will come and hunt you down. I know who you are. And I'm thinking the bottle of Moe would go very nicely. So I'll keep that over there. All right. Oh, I'm losing helpers. Can you pick one for me? Mm? Yes? You can pick it.
Yep.
Ah. Okay. Ashley J. Silence fills the room. Oh. Ashley? Ah, there you are. Now, I think Ashley joins us very last minute, was in hospital last night, and yet still managed to get on a plane to get here from Melbourne. We're very happy to have you here. Oh. All right. Jessica, I think it's your turn. Oh. Thank you. Hans! We're keeping it in the family. How about the shirt? The t-shirt? There we go. Ping pong fight. All right, we have 3 Crisis of Conscience books left, so let's do this. Okay, rummage around. Pick one out. Thank you. I know this one's a red lanyard as well, so I will come and hunt you down as well, but you're going to love this. Thank you. Okay, all right. 2 left. It's all right. All right. Purple. Whoop. Ah, that one. Paul S. Hey. There you go. Enjoy. All right, last one. Give it a really good shake. Oh. No, we don't. It's just the books, the last one. Oh, we're all coming. All right. Thank you. Benjamin Lynch. Hey, Ben. Enjoy that. So that's our door prizes. Thank you, Jessica, Sierra, Billy. Great. All right. Now in the schedule is some book signing to happen. Lloyd, sorry to yell at you. We're going to now move on to book signings between 3 and 3:30. So if anyone would like to grab or purchase the Reluctant Apostate or How to Escape Jehovah's Witnesses and have it signed by Lloyd, now's your time. And for the live stream, we'll be back at 3:30.
Lloyd's what? Yeah. Lloyd's room.
T-shirt. So at 3:30 we start with another soundbite and then then Renee follows you, and then Cliff, and then Saturday.
Well, thanks for coming. How'd you go this morning with everything? The interview, yeah? Because you had ABC this morning. I work. Let's go, babe. Good.
So from you, we've then got Renee Nichols, Cliff Henderson, who's ex-JW fifth, Sasha's talking, and then we break till 4. Then Kim Silvio talks for a little bit, I talk for a little bit.
Just to show Annie where she is. So
I've already
yeah, cool, cool.
And then Mark O'Donnell. Oh, we've had a few already.
You missed all the good stuff. I know you will work, but you missed all the like Lloyd and Paul. But it's all being live streamed, so you can watch it. Watch it on Lloyd's channel, so you won't feel like you missed out. Yeah, oh, right. You got to stay at the post. I don't know. Like Sherry said, we're about to start. I'll go get you a beer. But hey, afterwards, we'll have your pick up and stuff. No worries, bro. Like, you know, just it's totally free. Got to make those. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks. It's going really well. It's going really well. There's a lot of really genuine people here. Incredible. Really, really is. We've watched the live streams and just wait.
We're not over yet. We've got some really exciting and enjoyable things coming up. So hang tight, grab another drink, have some more food. If you need anything, see any of us with the yellow lanyards. Ask any questions that come to mind. As you can see, there's some filming taking place outside. There's a few little interviews taking place around the grounds. But yeah, feel free to continue to relax, have fun with us all. There's a lot more coming up. We've got some great people in store for you.
Can you tell he was a ministerial servant?
Used to waffling out. Yeah. I learned from the best. Any elders in the room? Yeah.
All right, progress report on the live stream. How are we going? We're good? Sounds up? Yay! All right. Fantastic. Well, we'll continue with the program this afternoon. So we've got a number of speakers back to back that are really going to focus on the power of positivity and that we can have very happy lives after leaving the Jehovah's Witness religion. So first up, we have a young lady who's been interviewed on ABC Radio National's Soul Search program. She's been interviewed on FBI Radio's Canvas Arts program, and she's currently featured in an ABC docuseries, which is streaming on ABC iView called Third Culture Kids. So please put your hands together to welcome Annie Bunapraseth. You have to hold them together. One's for the live stream and one's for the room. Okay. Hold them as close to you now. Sure. Do you want me to move your notes?
Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, like you're eating it.
First of all, I'd like to thank Sasha and Sherry for all their hard work, not only in organising this event, but also in providing support for the ex-JW community. I'd also like to extend that appreciation to everyone who generously uses their valuable time, energy, and experience to help others break free and heal their wounds. It's a funny way to look at it, but it does take a lot of discipline, organization, dedication, and self-sacrifice to be a Jehovah's Witness. So it's great to see these powers being used for good and not for evil. So my assignment is to say something empowering in 5 minutes. So I'm going to do the best. I hate speaking in front of a large room of congregated people. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. I know these types of occasions are always very emotional, but I hope you come away feeling like it's been a positive experience. It's so wonderful to be in a room full of non-judgmental people who share the same unique experience of having lived, quote unquote, a former life as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. There's no doubt that we've all been negatively impacted by something that basically tries to destroy everything that's beautiful about being human and continues to haunt our lives in many heartbreaking ways. I understand how painful it feels to lose your loved ones for no good reason, maybe even forever. I know how it feels to walk past people you've tried to please your whole life and be treated as if you had a contagious disease. The grief, anger, and sadness can either swallow us up and destroy our souls, or it can motivate us to cherish every breath of life that belongs to us and do some pretty fucking amazing things. Things that other people take for granted, but make you feel as high as the sky because they were once inconceivable. For me, that artist, an art educator, moving out of home and being independent, kissing a few boys, traveling, starting my own business, creating a network of true friends, overcoming my fear of dogs, becoming politically active, reading books, performing burlesque, and even becoming a life model. The list goes to go on. I hope your list goes on too. And if you haven't made a to-do list yet, then you better get cracking. Write down all of your dreams and make them come true, one by one. It's crucial to your survival. That tiny voice inside that told you from the beginning, this isn't right, wasn't a seed of doubt. It was the essence of you, protecting you, helping you to survive, willing you to live the best life and be your most wonderful self. Nurture it, help it grow and flourish into a strong, majestic tree. When you're feeling low, reach within and reach up and out. Turn your tears into beautiful diamonds, your losses into wins, your plowshare into your sword. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Annie, for those beautiful thoughts and for putting up with me telling you to constantly lift the mic. That was really nice. So our next speaker is a local Sydney girl who doesn't live too far away from us and I first met her actually at the National Apology last year in Canberra, and I think we were both a little nervous, but well, that day really did bond us together. I am so thrilled to call Renee a friend, and I warmly welcome her to the stage to give her few words. I think you know what to do with them.
Yes, I do. I'm just going to do. Okay. My name is Renee Pickles. I also go by the name of Renee Kordeski, which is the name of my page. So I changed my name just so that I could use my maiden name because I think most of my trauma happened when I was a child born into the Jehovah's Witnesses. I would like to address all former Jehovah's Witnesses who are struggling with their healing journey. My page wasn't born out of any interest in doctrine. I struggled to read through JW facts. I was too afraid to look at Lloyd's channel. My was born out of 19 years of loneliness, of being hidden from being able to look on the internet and struggling alone for all that time. It was only 2 years ago that I was brave enough to allow myself to look at the Ark. And the 2016 shunning video really brought home to me what an evil organization. So because I had traversed this planet for 19 years as what felt like an alien alone, my page was born out of a wish to never let anybody else ever have to feel alone. You are not alone, as you can see today. You don't have to be alone now that we have internet. The design of ostracism, as you know, is to shame you and to make you feel like you are alone. And that is no longer necessary. We will no longer be silenced. Now, everybody has their own way of healing. Some people express their art through burlesque dancing or through art. Some join Facebook groups. Some need to hear their story coming out of somebody else's mouth and say, you know what, that feels like me. Some write blogs, some create a Facebook page, some people write poems and send them into magazines. I believe that Amber Scorer, who has made that successful book, the journey began with a friend saying, hey, you know what, your story is pretty weird. You should send your story along to a magazine. And that's how I believe it began. Also, different people need to do different things. And at different stages of your life or as your healing journey, you need to do different things. No one right method is right for everybody. So you need to find the thing that you need to move forward. And this is how this eclectic mosaic of survivors' voices are coming together and making a decent sound, and it's growing further. The voices are uniting, whether they're large and noisy or small and timid, whether they're gregarious, and it definitely is, if you feel like me, creating an incredible movement. And I can speak because remember 19 years ago, even before Paul Grundy did JW Facts, there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. So will you add your voice? I hear so many people say to me as they write to me, it feels like I've lost my identity. We haven't lost our identity. A good friend of mine said, no, you haven't lost your identity. What it is that your identity is you, and it's changing and morphing. As you disconnect from the path that you've had to disconnect from, or the previous life, and don't forget that previous life was trying to quash you. So you are morphing. Your identity is going along with you to a better you. That better you is what you choose as well. So really, what a great opportunity. Have a blank page. Just on a final note, having done a small reunion, less than half the size of this, don't forget that in about a week or two, you're going to suffer some strange emotions, because if you're like me, I've been on a massive high and just building up until I came today. And inevitably, because of what we've been through in the next few days, it will be natural for you to feel possibly upset or struggle with your emotions. So my suggestion is to be very kind to yourself. Plan for that. Have somebody that you trust that you can ring, or treat yourself to a hike, or if you make fires like I do, fires for me help me, or just have something that you can turn to because it might get challenging. So always remind yourself in conclusion that healing is possible, and you don't have to be alone anymore. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those words, Renee. I found them very touching. I've been wondering what will come different events. So words of wisdom were greatly appreciated. So next we have one of the activists here who we weren't initially expecting, but we were so excited when we'd sent him an invitation and it came back saying attending. We weren't expecting this, but boy, were we delighted. So I'm very, very excited to welcome up Cliff Henderson to the podium now, otherwise known as ex-JW Fifth.
Is this the correct way to hold it? Okay. All right. So good evening, everyone. My name is Cliff Henderson. I go by Fifth in the ex-JW community, and I was unaware that there are people who are actually interested in why I go by Fifth. So I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to answer that, first of all. So believe it or not, Fifth is my suffix. I literally am Cliff the Fifth. So Cliff Henderson the Fifth is my name, and Fifth is been my nickname for a number of years. So just get that out of the way, and hopefully you can listen to the rest of what I have to say. So I was born and raised into the Jehovah's Witness organization. Come from, a family that was involved in it long before I came around. My grandparents on both sides of my family were Jehovah's Witnesses. I was baptized when I was 9 years old, and later regular pioneered. I was a ministerial servant, was in Bethel for a short period. I learned Spanish and Portuguese for the same reason of trying to continue to promote that message. And then, like most people, I had doubts that I was able to kind of push down because the implications of this not being the truth is just far too scary, especially at the beginning, right? You can't really accept that as even a possibility because of, what it would involve. So after I had a couple of very close friends of mine walk out of the organization and say that they were leaving because they no longer considered it to be the truth. And then I also, around that same time, ran across the Australian Royal Commission. Kind of interesting story on that. The way I got that was a friend that I was in Bethel with. He had just heard that Jeffrey Jackson was on YouTube defending the organization. And that's all he knew about it. So he thought it was something that was positive for Jehovah's Witnesses. And I was like, great, because I'm having doubts now. So I watched that and I was like, I can't. I'm embarrassed now. I'm embarrassed to be a Jehovah's Witness. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. the best thing, but the worst thing for somebody who's going through a crisis at that moment. So, but it was very, very helpful. And eventually, circumstances were such that I stopped going to the meetings for a couple of months. And during that time, I wasn't living according to the Jehovah's Witness rules. But eventually I felt guilty, thought I needed to go talk to the elders. And that's what I did. So I called up the elders and I said, hey, I've been having these doubts. Also, these things have happened while I haven't been going to the meeting. So I was swiftly disfellowshipped. And at that point, I said, I got to dig into this. For the first time, gave myself permission to read Crisis of Conscience. And after I read that, there was not a single doubt in my mind. Everything that I had believed so firmly and that I fought for and I had sacrificed for my whole life was just dismantled completely after I had turned that last page. After that, I had a friend of mine, one of those friends that left, tell me, okay, now that you're awake, which I thought was kind of a weird term at the time. I was like, what is that? That kind of sounds culty to me, you know, especially at that time. But anyway, he said, now that you're awake, you got to check out John Cedar's channel. I don't know where he is. Yes. So Lloyd Evans, and I tell him we're friends now, but I tell him all the time that he's had a huge part of my awakening. So I'm forever indebted and grateful to Lloyd as well. So after watching videos for, several months, Lloyd's videos and those many other activists, I just felt like I had an obligation. Excuse me. I had an obligation to tell my story, because I felt like I had been consuming all of this information and perhaps I have a story that might benefit someone. So I made my first video not thinking I'm going to be an activist or I'm going to make other videos. I just said, I'm just going to tell my story and maybe it'll help someone the same way that I was helped by other people. And, to my surprise, within a very short period of time, thousands of people had viewed the channel or had viewed the video. I was receiving messages from people saying that it really touched them. They were crying because I was telling their story different. And it just made me realize, I said, okay, well, I got to make another video then, if this is something that's really helpful and beneficial to people. So here we are, almost 3 years later. And I've been able to meet so many wonderful people, including you guys here today. And I never thought in a million years I would not be a witness, let alone be a so-called apostate. Like, it's not something that ever, it wasn't part of my thought process. But I should mention also, as many of you, I'm being shunned by 100% of my family. And I didn't make any friends outside of the organization because that was part of the rules as well. So it's kind of a little trick, right? So when you leave the organization, you don't have anybody. Because you follow the rules and made all your relationships on the inside. So that's been something very painful for me. I've, discussed it very publicly. It's something I still deal with. But, I do a bit of poetry as a sort of therapy for myself. I find it therapeutic to express myself in that way. And right now, what I'm talking about is what I'm experiencing as far as the Jehovah's Witnesses are concerned. And in one of them, I said, this was one of the lines. I said, I escaped, and I'm happy to say it. My freedom came at a price, but I was happy to pay it. And that's not to diminish the effect of shunning or any of the pain that you go through, but more so to just highlight the value of finally being able to think for myself, right? And because of that, I feel like it's all worthwhile. And something I would never trade in. So I'm sure a lot of you could share those same sentiments, realizing that although it's difficult and you've lost, most of your support system, just being able to think for yourself and not have beliefs that are superimposed upon you, and you can come to these conclusions on your own, that's priceless. So for anyone who is still dealing, I know most of you are still dealing with a lot of the effects of being shunned by your family and even just trying to figure out who you are as a person, because who you were was already defined. So now you have to figure out your likes, your dislikes, your beliefs, maybe your political leaning, everything. And it's confusing, right? Sometimes. But if any of you especially are at the beginning stage, I just want to say it definitely gets better. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can meet wonderful people like this who will support you and be able to empathize with what you're going through. So I just want to encourage everybody to, just keep going. Don't give up. Yeah, if you're ever feeling really low, just reach out to somebody. There's a lot of us now, right? There's a lot. This ex-JW community is humongous. So we don't have to go through it by ourselves, right? So I'll leave everybody with that. And I want to, again, thank Sherry and Sasha for inviting me to this event. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. No problem.
Thanks so much, Cliff. It's when you are so focused on telling everyone else's story, it's really nice to hear your story. So thanks so much for sharing that, and it was really nice. So our next speaker is someone you know very well, kind of. Well, I know very well. I don't think he needs much of an introduction, apart from saying if it wasn't for Sasha's patience in waiting for me to wake up, we might have a very different story today. So I'll leave it with you now to say your few words about friendship and new identities.
Yeah, I just wanted to chat for a moment about the value of true friendship, unconditional friendship, if you like. For too long when we were in the organisation, we thought and assumed that we had hundreds or thousands of friends. After all, we were part of a worldwide brotherhood. Everyone was our friend, right? But we realised how fickle and conditional these friendships are. And people that we were effectively family members of, people that we spent days, weeks with, years with, people we shared meals with, people whose families were like our own, it just disappeared in a heartbeat. Now, probably that was very confronting at first. We thought that these friendships were that we would never get any like that ever again. But I'm sure all of us here can testify to the fact that the friendships we've built up since waking up and leaving have become probably a hell of a lot deeper and stronger than anything we ever had before. Because these are friendships based upon the fact that we accept each other unconditionally, and we accept each other as individuals, walking our own paths with our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own viewpoints, and that's okay. We don't have to be clones of one another anymore. So I wanted to talk about, though, the beautiful friendships and the support networks that we have, not just from fellow ex-JWs, but most importantly too, the importance of building up a friendship circle or a friendship network outside of those that have walked our journey. You know, from those evil worldly people that we were told to avoid for so long, guess what? They're actually really nice people, and they really will look after us, and they really will support us. So I know that to have friends, we have to be a friend, but that involves putting ourselves out there. And once we put ourselves out there in that greater community, we can make some really beautiful friendships. Now, I want to give a special shout out and praise to a dear friend of mine, friends of mine, Lex and Vivian. Lex has been like a brother to me since I started waking up. They're standing there in the middle. Please give them an absolute round of applause. He's a really shy guy, and as you can see. No, I really want to talk about the friendship that Lex extended to me. And, Lex and Vivian were there for me the whole way. 2012, when I started waking up and I started allowing myself to make friends with worldly people, Lex was the man that was there for me. And we just really clicked. We developed a great friendship, almost like brothers. We had so much in common. And I just really appreciated the fact that he was there for me. But he didn't know anything about this background of this weird religious cult that I'd come from. And it wasn't until I started to open up to him about that I actually saw that this friendship had an even greater depth than anything I thought before. Because he took the time to listen to me as I was trying to process those thoughts, trying to understand what I'd been through.
as I was venting to him about what I felt was inappropriate conduct from some of the elders in the congregation or the organisational weirdness that we all understand, he was there to listen to all of that. And I genuinely say that if he wasn't there to hear me through all of those processes and support me through all those things, I wouldn't be the bloke that I am now. So I really want to say thank you to Lex, thank you to Vivian for supporting me through that and just being unconditional friends. Unconditional friends are priceless. So make friends with the people in your community. Make friends with the people that are out there that we ordinarily would have steered away from, because they really do have our backs. They really will support us. The best revenge, as we said earlier, is to live a happy and successful life, and to make these friendships is one of the best ways to make a success of our life. Supporting one another, knowing that we're not alone. So, Lex, can I invite you up here just for a minute, please, mate? And he wasn't really expecting this, but
wow, how can I top that? My glasses are foggy at the moment. It's not because I'm crying, but because it's quite warm in here. I haven't prepared anything. I try not to sound like Stephen Lett, so I have to wing it. So I do apologize in advance, but I'm not going to be politically correct or anything. But when Sasha started telling me about all of these things that was happening in this cult, I'm blown away. The only thing that really made sense to me was humping a pillow. That was fine. Makes sense. And that you have to keep a diary of private things. So honestly, we have to keep it positive. So what? Be better, not bitter. Keep it up. You've got a new life ahead of you. We have been, well, when I say we, it's Viv and myself. We've been worldly. We've been demons for the entire life. We've had a hell of a ride, and I am sure that every single one of you is looking forward to exactly the same thing. So life is short. Go and enjoy the hell out of it. No pun intended on that one, but also thank you. Thank you, Sasha and Sherry, for being there for us too. It wasn't just a one-way street, it's both ways. Without this cult, we couldn't have wished for better friends. And I want to thank all the elders for that, to give them. And hopefully we can form our own congregation at some point, as long as we like the same cause. Guys, enjoy. Thank you.
thank you, Lex. Thank you, Vivian. Really appreciate that. Just one final thing I just want to share is the value of supporting one another when we're here together, but also online. The online community is essential. So on that note, I was privileged to join the JW survey team earlier in the year, and I really appreciate that Mark made this available. Now, my role is to help with the support and aftercare manager, if you like. Now, we receive dozens of emails a week, a month, from people all over the world who are sharing their stories. And sometimes these are the most heartbreaking stories. I actually don't know how ones like Lloyd and Mark have done this for so long, when you're hearing the stories of people whose lives have fallen apart, or they're just coming to terms with the realization of the truth about the truth. So it's a privilege to be able to help these ones, answer emails how we can, but it's not just about the responses we give, it's actually about referring people to a greater community and spreading that support out to others. So if you feel you're in a position to be able to help others, let us know, because sometimes all we need is to know that there's another person we can refer someone to, and then they can become the friend that is so essential in their development and their growth. So don't keep it to yourself. If you have the desire to help reach out and motivate other people and support them, let us know. We can use your help in any way. Well, I'll hand back to Sherry now. And again, thank you all for being here.
You get a W for timing. So we're only a few minutes over time, so it's not too bad. And because I put so much effort into the sound bites, we did have a sound bite at 4. Please, just I beg your indulgence. I want to play it. Harrison. Appropriate, right? Yeah, Mark, I see you there out there. Oh, up. So the live stream can hear that. Thank you. Okay, now I can continue. After the interview that Sasha and I did on the John Cedars channel, we had so many reach out to us, which was really, really nice. There is one here particularly that we've developed, well, there's several that we've developed very close relationships with, but even just this week, we've watched this individual just absolutely blossom and flourish. And I'm very, very happy to please invite and welcome Kim Silvio up here to say a few words. I can't see past these lights.
All right. So it was the 6th of September 2018, and I was sitting at my computer researching. The truth was all I had known since my teen years, but with the serious events of the past 18 months in my congregation, I just couldn't stop thinking to myself, how can this possibly be the truth? On the same day, an interview was posted on YouTube. Having attended my last meeting only 8 weeks prior, I couldn't even mention the channel that I was watching. I was shocked that the Australian couple were being interviewed expressed. Their experiences were different to mine, but there was something eerily similar. What was going on here? 3 days later, I plucked the courage to contact the wife of the couple, and I explained to her. I have questions, I have so many questions that now I'm just so confused. And recently I came to realize, what if this is not the truth? How can I live in a country where my religion is subject to a royal commission, yet I knew nothing of it? Why did I accept new light on a continual basis? And what else don't I know? Shortly afterwards, Sherry and I spoke, and it took quite a bit of effort for me to mention the words John Cedars. I began binge watching the Australian Royal Commission, read many legal cases and court transcripts in Australia and overseas. Having a legal background, legal documents gave the information I was reading, the validation of the facts that I needed. I came to understand how false and damaging this organisation really is. Since then, I've had a couple of opportunities to use my skills to help the ex-JW community. Researching, knowledge, and giving back have been the key ingredients to my personal recovery, and for those people who have provided me with the facts and made me think, I'm extremely grateful. My journey is ongoing, and I can honestly say that I stand here today probably one of the few people who still believe in God. But you know what? That's my right to believe, and your right to disagree with me. And it's our privilege that we have the freedom that we don't have to be the same, and yet we can still remain friends irrespective of our different beliefs. As a community, we must stand together, respect the freedom that we have, and allow each and any of us to engage in activism, and to do so with respect for the effort that they make. Activism takes time and effort, and without it, many of us wouldn't be here today. For those waking up, it's the best gift we can give them. I'm going to hide in the corner somewhere.
Thank you, Kim, for those words. So it's actually now time for me to say a few things, just briefly. Sasha mentioned earlier how Lloyd kindly invited Sasha and I to be part of the JW survey team, which blew us away that we could be part of that. My role is to be the survey editor. And while it took me a little bit of time to get my first article out, just in May, I had collated the results for the 2017 survey and launched that. And it was actually very poignant for me to do that because I haven't actually told Lloyd this, but JW Survey was the first place that I felt comfortable enough to post comments on a website where there were ex-witnesses. It just felt safe for me to do that. And 2017 was the first time that I actually participated in the survey myself. So it really meant a lot to me to now be the survey editor and to collate those results, knowing that I was one of the numbers in that survey. The survey started in 2011, and I really admire Lloyd's intent with the survey. The purpose of it is to give voice to millions of Jehovah's Witnesses around the world who would not normally have the opportunity to say what they really think about the Watchtower Society or the teachings and practices of the governing body. In 2011, 1,118 individuals participated in that survey. After I looked at the 2017 results, there were 5,370 that had participated in the survey. So you see, we can claim wondrous expansion too. Now, we would obviously like to see this number grow every year. Valuable information is derived from the survey telling us what the red button hot topic issues are. I found it fascinating that 17% of participants were active Jehovah's Witnesses. That amazes me. I could never imagine doing that as an active witness, and I really want to know what they think. For the survey to be most effective, it needs to be completed by all of us each year. So I ask for your support and participation in that. I encourage you to have a voice. Tell us what you think and feel. Enable us to do whatever we can to act on your behalf, on all of our behalves. And we can only do that by effective communication, and the global survey provides us that communication tool. So I'm very pleased to announce that in the next few days, the 2019 survey will be available for you all to participate on. You will find it on jwsurvey.org, and I encourage you to log on so that your participation is entirely confidential. No information that you divulge will be traced back to you in any way. Read the questions through carefully before answering, and answer truthfully and honestly. There's no right or wrong answers. We're interested in your beliefs and opinions, whatever these may be. I hope that the 2019 survey is even more successful than its predecessors, and I really look forward to hearing from you and to collating and reporting those results after I've dealt with 2018 first. So that's the end of my little bit. Now, it's very hard to juggle microphones and pages. Thank you. Ooh. Okay, all right. Harrison, if we can cue clip number 5. Thank you. What we would like to do now is welcome another of our activists to come up and give us a chat. He's busy talking to other people at the moment. I'm trying to eyeball him. Yeah, you. To many of us, he is known as John Redwood. But recently, he has revealed his true identity as Mark O'Donnell. So if we could cue the music to invite Mark to come up and talk. Yes.
That was actually one of my favorite movies. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I used to go to the Senator Theater, which is a historic theater in Baltimore, and I used to watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And then I wound up in Israel working in archaeological expedition in Caesarea back in 1989. And that movie had a lot of meaning for me back then. So my name is Mark O'Donnell, although I seem to have lost my badge. So I might be asked to leave soon. Well, thanks to my fanny pack, I have multiple passports and identifications here. So if you come right up, I can show you my identification. So I've just put myself on timer because if any of you watch Watchtower in Focus, you know that I like to ramble. So I want to thank everybody for coming. Australia has a great meaning to me. 31 years ago, oh, look at this. It's Mark. So I'm sure my friends are tired of hearing this story, but 31 years ago, I came here under that Sydney Harbor Bridge, and I was with a good JW buddy of mine, and we toured Australia. We spent 2 months in Melbourne and several weeks up in the Blue Mountains and just all over the country, went diving on the Great Barrier Reef, and it's always had a very special place in my heart. But one thing that happened, I was baptized as a Jehovah's Witness in 1984. I was 16 years old. And 4 years later, when I was 20, I came to Australia, and I met a man named Kimball who lives up in Brisbane. He's not here with us today. But he told me something that stuck in my mind for many years. He said, did you ever stop and think that 607 might not be the right date for the destruction of Jerusalem? And he said there's some man over in Sweden that's written a book, and he's done a lot of research. And of course, I argued with him. I said, well, 1914 is the date that World War I happened. So something significant happened in that date. And so I sort of brushed it off, but that seed was planted, and it took a lot of decades. But 5 years ago, I began researching on my own, and I left the organization, but I really left it with nowhere to go. I had no friends. My wife was still in the organization, and she stayed. She was very upset. And a few months after, I gave myself permission to read Crisis of Conscience, which Paul and others have mentioned earlier that made such an impact on their lives. And then I stumbled onto Lloyd's website and channel, and I thought, well, here's a reasonable approach. Here's a logical approach, and it's non-confrontational. And that's the type of approach that I had, logical, reasonable, and that's what I continue to espouse to this day. So little did I know that after looking at Lloyd's website, that 2 years later he would ask myself and go, that's been very important. Well, let's see, the words that he used were, I'm handing you the keys. So I don't know what that means. But no, it's been an honor to share some articles on that. And sadly, a lot of it's been about child abuse. And that's very sad. As a child, I grew up around, there was an anointed elder who abused multiple kids. There was another pioneer that abused, I found out later, multiple women. It's really devastating to me how the organization covered that up and how no one seemed to know or care about it. But I care about it, and Australia cares about it. And so what happened here in 2015 with the Royal Commission and with Angus Stewart, I think we all played a small part in supporting that, watching that. And so many of you have come to tell me how you've left the organization as a result of what happened during the Australian Royal Commission. This country has made a huge difference in the rest of the world. And I told Angus Stewart today the fact that he's made that, the Australian government has made that information transparent to the rest of the world. That is what's made all the difference, the fact that it was televised. So, I just want to say that after all of it's said and done, I'm happy that all of you, many of you have escaped in the last 5 years. Maybe a show of hands of who's been out within the last 5 years. And that is a significant number of people. The light's blinding me, so I can't see all the hands. But that's a lot of people who are now free within these last 5 years. So I just want to congratulate all of you and thank you for supporting our efforts to continue to help more people to gain their freedom, to leave the religion, have a positive life. I want to thank Lloyd and Sasha and Sherry. I got to spend 2 fantastic days with Sasha and Sherry touring around. And Paul, wherever you are, there you are. He was a great host, and he cooks a great kangaroo. And Sherry, thank you. So everyone, I'm out of time, so we're not going to run this out. But I just want to thank everybody. But most importantly, I want to thank my wife Kimmy, because she's been my support. She came out 1 year after I did, and I don't know if any of you had a chance to read the Atlantic article on child abuse. Okay, I have. So if you read that article, you know Kimmy's story, and it's a tragic story. But she woke up 1 year later, and she's at home watching this right now. It's about 2 in the morning or something. But say hi, Kimmy. So I have to thank Kimmy because she's been my support, and I wanted to thank everybody with our survey team, and there's just too many to thank. But hey, I can't do the news. We're going to leave that for Covert Fade for another time. But 2:19 a.m., okay. Make sure Scrappy's fed, Kimmy. Make sure Scrappy is fed. Give him a pet for me. We rescue cats. We love animals. And sadly, the kangaroos aren't too happy at us right now. So I look forward to talking to some of you a little bit later. I know we're running out of time, but just thanks to Australia, thanks to everybody here who's done what they've done. Oh, and by the way, after the Atlantic article, they came after us and disfellowshipped both myself and my wife for causing divisions, and now they're going after my mother, of course, who just lost her husband of 57 years. So. Without your support, we wouldn't continue to do this. And what Sasha said about all those emails that get sent, and it's very rewarding for us to do the work that we do. And I just want to thank everybody who's had a part of it, especially Lloyd for putting together the channel. And so thank you all. And I hope to get to meet some more of you that I haven't met.
It's hard to follow that one. We are actually not doing too badly. This is good. All right. There is someone else that we recommend that you watch on YouTube when you wake up from a cult, who can articulate extremely succinctly what the processes are and really helps you to understand and break down the behaviors, the thought control. We reached out to him and asked him if he would contribute a video, and he was thrilled to. Now, we don't often see this guy's face as you behind. No, no, not an ex-witness.
No, it's not Caleb and Sophia.
No, it's Link from Theremin Trees, and he's done a video for us specifically for this event. So if you can play.
Hello, my name's Link, and I run a YouTube channel called Theremin Trees, focusing on manipulation and abuse. I'd like to thank Sharon and Sasha for their kind invitation to this celebration. I didn't realise how many members of the ex-JW community I already knew until some years ago, when I recounted the time when Penny, Marcia, and later Sheila tried for several weeks to recruit me and my brother. Folks I chatted with for years revealed their unspoken histories inside the organisation. It was an education. This high control group flies under the public radar. Worldly folks often dismiss it as a quirky but harmless church. Penny, Marcia, and Sheila revealed nothing about its abuses. A friend of mine whose aunt was recruited gave some insights, but my ex-JW chums gave me chapter and verse. The compassion and resilience of this community is striking. It's no coincidence that folks who leave abusive groups often show these and other related traits, like empathy, protectiveness, a strong sense of justice. These traits can make you more willing to challenge authority when you see corruption and abuse, and these traits shine through in ex-JW activism. In the tireless work of campaigners like YouTuber Lloyd Evans and podcaster Louise Good, and in the vision of filmmaker Daniel Crocker-Taylor, creator of The Beautiful Apostasy. Barbara Anderson embodied these traits when she told NBC News about the organization's secret records of child abuse accusations and private settlements. Predictably, she was shunned, even by her own son, but not her husband. Like Sherry and Sasha, Barbara and Joe Anderson stuck by each other. Here's to folks everywhere who choose love over fear. I'll end by mentioning two remarkable individuals known as BCB and BCG. As we all know, despite despicable attempts by JW officials to shame them into silence, they approached the Royal Australian Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse and shared their harrowing experiences. Because of their extraordinary courage, Australia and the rest of the world watched as a dozen JW officials were obliged to wrestle with their own cowardice and hypocrisy in an open courtroom. This community carries a lot of pain. The governing body expects that pain to twist and break people. But time after time, that pain has instead driven people to protect and support others. In doing that, you turn pain into love. I can't think of anything more worthy of celebration than that.
I'm sure at some point Link will, if he's not watching the live stream, he will tune in later. So thank you very much, Link, for that wonderful video. It's much appreciated. So we are running quite well to time actually now. In a few minutes we would do the next soundbite. So again, I'm going to beg your indulgence because I really had fun with this. So Harrison, clip 6, please. Oh. So that'll be a lesser known song to a lot of you. It's a group from the States called Bob Moses. But that song really resonated with me because the whole chorus was about never going back. And to me, that it's a lot. It's never going back to Watchtower, but it's never going back to those behaviours, and it's becoming something new. So I had to pop that in, even if it wasn't so well known. So now we don't have too much longer. Oh dear, Auntie Bev's trying to get up. Well done.
Just before we do. That was a great way to get attention there, Auntie Bev, but it's good timing because we actually just want to give a real shout out of appreciation to help guide this. So can we just give a huge round of applause and appreciation, Auntie Bev? Thank you. Thank you.
She wasn't expecting that. All right, now we all want to hear from Lloyd. So we're going to invite him up shortly now to say his few words before we close the event. But as we did with Mark, we have a little bit of a Aussie welcome in the way of a soundbite to introduce Lloyd. So Harrison, if you'd like to play the clip, and we'll invite Lloyd to come up.
I'm still getting to grips with Aussie humour. I really am. Well, we warmly welcome you, dear brothers and sisters. It's not a balloon. What colour? Always photobombing my work. You have no idea how much editing it takes to keep her off my channel. No. Just an amazing experience today. I'm going to be coming down off this high for a long time. And lots of people sometimes ask me, how do you keep going with the work that you're doing? How do you stay motivated to produce content, to pour your heart out and that kind of thing? Quite honestly, it's events such as these, because Diana and I live in the middle of nowhere in a tiny one-road Croatian village without really any network of friends that we can call on. So when we have to literally get on a plane to meet the people who we share something in common with, who we fight this struggle with, and who we have that common bond with. And so when I meet people, I know it may seem like everything is very kind of forced, or that's just my tiredness, but there is a genuine appreciation for the love that you're showing me, because you're actually, with each one of you that today has come up to me and said something, you're topping up that tank to help me do more. And I want to thank you for that. So. And there's an unsung hero in this room who we haven't really spoken about, who is instrumental in the work that I do because of the support and love, unflinching love that she gives me in enabling me to have the time and space creatively to create my videos, to wrestle with this batshit crazy cult on a daily basis. And that's Deanna. So I think she deserves a massive round of applause. She really is she's an amazing wife and mother. I'm lucky to have her, and so are you, quite frankly. So I actually wrote these notes on the ferry here, and they almost blew into the water. Had to kind of scramble after them to rescue them. So I want to talk briefly about reasons to be proud. Now, obviously at JW Survey, we're interested in surveys. Mark did a little survey before to find out how many of you have woken up in the last 5 years. Can we see those hands again? That's a really high percentage. I want to thin it down. I want to thin it down further. How many in the last 12 months? I'm going to say 6 or 7. Yeah, is that fair? 3 months. So, for those of you how many watching on the live stream? 362. So for those 262 watching on the live stream, hello, by the way. Sorry, I've been otherwise engaged. But yeah, we literally have people in this room who've woken up within the last 3 months. And I think that there's reason to be proud of that. It shows that collectively we are a warm, inviting people that people will want to join when they're able to realize that they've been lied to and exploited. And that's what it's all about for me. I want to know how many in this room are not ex-JWs? Yeah. I know you're not an ex-JW. So I would say about a dozen. Is that fair? Now, we're talking here most likely about partners and family friends who are sticking with their loved one through thick and thin, even though they've been through hell and back. They're showing support, they're showing solidarity to the point of coming here with them today. And I think they deserve a massive round of applause. Here's a fun one. I want you to raise your hand if you woke up in your 20s or younger. Okay. That's a reasonable number. I'm going to say a couple of dozen there. 30s and 40s. That's a good chunk. Maybe the majority even. Okay. 50s and 60s. Wow. A huge round of applause there. '70s and '80s. No. Where? Come on. How old were you when you woke up? This is really important, by the way.
72.
72. And what was it that made you wake up?
There are a lot of red flags, but it was the Royal Commission, which I accidentally stumbled on.
Sure.
And since then, I've done lead lighting classes, I've done a creative writing class, and having a great time. But the first year, I had thyroid cancer, and then after that, I just took some time to get myself together. Did nothing for anybody. I do a little bit of activism when I can, but it's a great life. And now I can do what I want, when I want, how I want, and I don't have to have anybody tell me I can't wear, do, read, see. It's a great life.
Is it the best life ever?
It is now.
But doesn't that just show that you're never too old? There are no, this is one thing I hear. Do you not think, Lloyd, that we could reach a point where our relatives are just too old and it's just not worth bothering with them? And I agree, sometimes that's the case. We can never make hard and fast rules. But don't underestimate the value of freedom. Freedom means the same thing no matter what age you are, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It still means something to be in full control of your own mind. People need that opportunity. And we should all be proud of the role, whatever role we play, in helping make that happen. Here's another one. Who has a faith in God? Okay. And who is non-religious? Now, I only asked that. No, I asked that to highlight the fact that we have radically different religious views, and yet here we are under the same roof, enjoying food, enjoying drink, laughing together, crying together. We are truly united, and we're united by unconditional love. That's what love's really about. And as much as I appreciate, and I'm sure Paul appreciates, people coming up to us and saying, you helped us wake up, the courage and bravery to challenge cherished beliefs and cherished views. There are 8.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses in the world right now who do not, at this moment in time, have that courage. You are the exception. Never, ever lose pride in that fact, and always appreciate yourself for making that leap. So, applause for yourselves. Yeah? So I just wanted to very briefly talk about our message. What is our message? Well, I don't know about Paul. In fact, I do know about Paul. Our message is always about facts rather than emotions. And I get emotional sometimes, as you may have guessed. We all get emotional sometimes, but the emotions can't override the facts. The facts are what are going to help people. We need to avoid sensationalism. That was what drew me to Paul's website to begin with. He was presenting his information in a calm, balanced way. I'm in a position where I'm able to share perhaps more freely what my views are, because I'm not just purely about the details of history and the details of the teachings, but that has to be our focus, is keeping things factual. And here's the number one argument, and this is my one piece of advice, if I can give one. When you are in a situation where you're perhaps being cornered by a believing Jehovah's Witness friend or relative, and they're pegging you down with arguments about why theirs is God's one true religion, why you should consider coming back, returning to Jehovah. And I would just remind them that there's one thing that matters, and that's truth. Is it true or is it not true? If you want to tell me that this is the truth, you need to prove it. If the evidence that you come to me with is no more compelling than the evidence that any other religion can come to me with, I have absolutely no interest, and neither should you. Always keep it based on that central issue. Is it true or isn't it? And I think that you'll enjoy, or at least I've enjoyed, some success in keeping it strictly about that. We have the real truth, and we should be proud of that. And I want to briefly talk about child sex abuse because, again, as Javier said, this is one of the main reasons why we came to Australia. Actually, it turned out when we came to Australia that just by coincidence, this is an awesome country with incredible people. And one of the biggest networks of ex-JWs that certainly I have seen, and I've been to a lot of events in a lot of different countries. Mark, have you experienced anything like this? Never. Mark's on the East Coast of America. He has no excuses. That's the homeland of Watchtower, and he has not seen this kind of network, this kind of solidarity. You Aussies are killing it. So please keep that up. But apart from that, we were also interested in the Australian Royal Commission and who shouldn't be interested in what they uncovered. And one thing that we're learning in the work that we're doing is that this is a very unique thing that happened in this country. It's only just starting to happen in other countries. We're only starting to see an investigation in the Netherlands. We're in my country, finally, good grief, Britain, what on earth have you been playing at? Finally, ICSA says, oh yes, we'll include Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, they should have been on the list to begin with. So we're going to be monitoring what happens with that investigation and assisting the investigation in whatever way we can. But the minimum requirement of any religious organization should be this. How are you protecting your most vulnerable? How are you protecting your children? How are you protecting those with mental health issues? How are you protecting the women? Not that women are vulnerable, but how are you protecting the most vulnerable in your society? And on every measure, Watchtower fails. And until they learn that lesson that they need to, if they want to be taken seriously as a religion, then they need to start acting as an organization that cares about the most vulnerable. I know I speak for Paul, Mark, Fifth, all of the other activists in saying that we will be on their ass until they make a thing. So I wanted to just briefly ask the question, what can we do? Obviously, not everyone can be an activist. My wife can't be an activist, but she still does something. She helps the one in her family who is an activist. We're not all born to get in front of a YouTube camera. We're not all as vain as I am. We're not all Shakespeare. We're not all like Mark O'Donnell with his winsome words in his excellent investigative articles, which, by the way, I really have to thank you, Mark, for the time that you put into those articles. You've really picked up when I was flagging and carried on that mantle and gone even further in finding out what's really happening with abuse in the organization. And I can't thank you enough. You're a fantastic colleague and a true friend. Thank you. But the point is, you don't have to be a YouTuber and you don't have to be a blogger to be an activist. You can show support. You can be a good person. You can be kind. You can be supportive to those who are perhaps able to do more. You can be living proof that there is life on the other side of a cult. And every day that you do that and you prove to those around you that you are a happier, more contented, more fulfilled person, you're proving that Watchtower are liars. And I'm pretty sure everyone in the room is doing that. So again, thank you for being activists in that way. And that's probably the most important way. Another little thing and another little tip. One thing that I've kind of made it my mission to do since I've been an activist is to try wherever possible to destroy the stereotype. They are expecting us to be foaming at the mouth. They are expecting us to be abusive. They are expecting us to be confrontational. They are expecting us to be liars. Don't be those things, because we can be better, and because we don't need to be any of those things for that cult to be wrong and abusive and hurtful. Simply by being factual and kind and loving, we make far more progress in our efforts. So please, wherever possible, destroy that stereotype that they've carved out for us. That's my only request. And another thing, and I think, again, going back to what I was saying before about religion, I think one thing that's really beautiful to see in this room is that, again, we have people with different ideas, different backgrounds. I had someone come up to me today and say, I read your book, Lloyd. I don't agree with all of it. I'm not an atheist. And you know what? That's fine. I would be alarmed if every single person in this room said, Lloyd, I've read your book and I agree with every word. I'd be like, that would be creepy. I do not want to live in a world surrounded by clones of Lloyd Evans. I want to be surrounded by different people who I can learn from and laugh with and cry with and engage with. That's the only world I want to live in. I don't want to live in a world where there is enforced unity of thought, where everyone has to think the same way, everyone has to love each other, everyone has to be each other's friend. I'll choose who my friends are, thank you. And I think it's wonderful that we can all disagree and agree to disagree. Yeah. I'm nearly at the end now, and I'm very mindful of getting a W from Sherry on timing. She should totally have been a school overseer. She really should. I wanted to ask the question, what's next? What's next for the movement is a question I'm sometimes asked. And particularly for those of you who have only been ex-JWs in the last 5 years, and you're not familiar with how far we've come in that period, I can assure you we've come a long way. I can remember being the new kid on the block in 2011, and it being a massive deal if we got one newspaper article that exposed Watchtower in some way. Now we have documentaries, we have TV shows, we have a newspaper coverage, but we can do better. There's more that can be done and should be done, but we're certainly seeing an upwards curve in awareness. The world is slowly waking up, and I feel as though the work of activists, the work of ex-witnesses has contributed towards that, again, simply by offering a real alternative, a truthful alternative, an honest alternative, and a kind alternative. And we're all playing our part in making that happen, and that's why the movement's growing, and that's why there is increased awareness. What's next for Watchtower? That's another question I get asked. I have no idea. As far as I'm concerned, they should already be bankrupt. They're already at the point where they're begging for money and admitting that they need money that they haven't quite accounted for properly. That's not the Watchtower I remember. I remember an organization that was terrified of asking for money and said that the minute they started asking for money, they'd have to shut down publication. Well, they've broken that rule a number of times. And so I'm just waiting for the day when the downsizing isn't quite enough and we start to see some very real ramifications on that side. A special what?
Manicure.
She's got a special manicure. So what's next for Watchtower? I'm guessing more downsizing. I know, it's lovely, sweetheart. Round of applause for Jessica. I'm expecting more downsizing, but I think that Watchtower will increasingly become less relevant, more of an oddity, And I think that their reputation will continue to veer more closely towards the reputation that Scientology has. That's what I really expect. And I think we can all take pride in playing our own part, even if it's just by being supportive and helping those who are on the front line, so to speak. You're really helping make that happen. So thank you. So what's next? Finally, what's next for us personally? Where do we go from here? Well, again, the fact that we're here tells us that we've come a long way indeed. Some of us within the last 3 months, some of us within the last 6 months, many of us within the last 5 years, but certainly all of us have been through a real ordeal. We have had our reality turned on its head. We've had to start with a completely blank canvas, trying to figure out what we believe, what's real, what isn't real, who do we follow, who's got a good idea of what's going on. We have no idea. Tell us. We need to find our community all over again. We need to find new friends to replace the ones that are shunning us. We need to find new family to replace the family that are shunning us. And I think we've all, I would guess, made huge progress in that area. So we have probably still a bit further to go because it takes a long time. And in my view, we never fully get rid of our JW past. In my view, it kind of stains us permanently, at least to some degree. But what we can do is we can learn to manage it and overcome it and operate in such a way that it becomes less and less noticeable and live a happy, meaningful life. And I think we're all doing that. So I think, in summary, we are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. We are proud. We are strong. We have the real truth, and freedom is our paradise. Thank you. Who would like to do this again? So we're already kind of talking about it. I'm thinking maybe every 2 years, but this could not have happened without Sasha and Sherry and the dedication and time and effort that they've put into it, and they deserve a massive round of applause. Thank you to both of you for your amazing efforts in making this happen.
Thank you.
And I think that is there a little, yeah, Dave?
Over here. We have to interrupt this broadcast. Lloyd did a little bit, wanted me to emphasize just how much Sherry has done in organizing this, but I think we want to say a massive thank you to both of them. This event will be remembered for years and decades. I sincerely believe that. Thank you all for coming. Guys, the most amazing people on the planet, thank you for organizing this for us. And, oh yes. If you can, please, not that it's a requirement, we're not asking you for contributions. There is a donation box if you would like to express your appreciation for this amazing venue. Thank you to the staff too for making this such a beautiful event and making it run so smoothly. And we're not done yet. To express our appreciation, we have a special delivery, and oh, here he comes now.
Thank you, Tony.
It's coming.
No one else around is wearing tight pants. I got my tight pants. I got my tight pants
All right. Over to you guys.
Brother Morris, thank you so much for making the trip all the way down here to Australia. God, what can I say? Tony Taipan strikes again. Gee, what a way to end the afternoon. Thank you, guys. That is amazing. Now, the rest of the governing body going to notice that you were missing, or is this a common thing? That's amazing. Hey, guys, thank you so much for those kind words too. Lloyd, Dave, thank you so much. Honestly, the work that's gone into preparing for this, yeah, that was a lot of work, but it was worth it. We really, really appreciated sharing this afternoon with you all. This is just the beginning. We keep doing these events. They don't have to be big. They can be small events. Every single event that we all do is vitally important. Even if it's just a phone call to another person who's struggling, keep that up. Keep the community alive. Keep that strong. But again, guys, thank you so much for all being here and making this a success. Sherry's got a couple of things just to finish off. But again, I want to give a huge shout of praise to Sherry for this.
This is a card that you've all signed from for Sasha and Sherry, just expressing love and appreciation. So,
wow.
Well done to everyone that signed this.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. Wow. Sherry, round out the afternoon.
I'd almost say I'm speechless, but as Sasha knows, that very rarely happens. So I'm overcome. I'm overwhelmed. Thank you so much. It's been incredible to plan this out. Sasha and I started fantasizing about this in December 2017 when we celebrated our birthdays for the first time here at this venue. At the grand old age of 43. And we thought, wow, if Lloyd and Deanna came out to Australia, wouldn't it be great to have an event here? And we thought it was just pipe dreaming. But here we are. Planning, but we had a lot of fun in the planning and the preparing, and we've just enjoyed it immensely, including Jessica. It's been an absolute delight. I really want to give a shout out to the DD staff, Kai, who was our event organiser, Aldo, who's here today, and all of the staff here at DD's. No request was too difficult. The numbers kind of kept growing from what we originally intended, and DD's was, yep, no, that's fine, we can cope. We told them we've got a film crew, can we have a bit of extra space? Yes, sure, no problem. They have just been absolutely so easy to deal with and have contributed enormously to today being a success. So thank you to DD's. I also want to thank everyone with a yellow lanyard who's really helped us out today. Dave, thank you so much for everything that you've done. Harrison and Monica and Sean have just been outstanding. Harrison took care of all the technology stuff because I knew I was going to bugger that up, but they've just been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for making today a success. We're very excited at the idea of today not being the only time we do this, that we can plan for events like this down the track. I think that we're going places even more than we have already. So thank you very much. I don't really have too much more to say. I do have some ending credits. How surprising that there's another soundbite, but we'll wait till Sasha's finished.
Sorry, I just wanted to say thanks to all those who joined us on the live stream as well. It's amazing to have you here as part of the proceedings. Yeah, really appreciate that you guys logged on, or anybody that might be watching this at a later date on the John Cedars channel. It was great to have you guys part of it as well. I would love to do a sign off, but I believe there's, oh hell, I'll just do it. Look, thanks everyone for being here, and as always, thank you for watching. If you
Excuse me, I thought what happened was spa stayed in spa. You're just out of it. You guys got a relationship. That's just well, darling, she's organised. She's organised for going to the after But what it does, what it did, is it set the bar. And so then the activists have Anybody seen Billy? Dog trainer? Oh, there it is.
One of these might be yours.
Yeah, I know. I was reading the comments in the new part.
He's asking me for cable soon. Actually, you know what?
Can we just? So this is for 160. So this is a special gift for the 160 of you who are still watching this live stream.
I can't believe they're still watching.
Still watching it long after it's ended, and we'd completely forgotten that we'd left it running. So, so what are your thoughts on the event today, Mark?
Well, we had about 8,000 people here, and no, maybe not 8,000. I don't think. Man, what a! How many?
When he has Coca-Cola, he gets a bit delirious. So just bear with us.
Yeah, all hopped up on Coke. No, what a great event. Man, this went on for what, 5 hours, and we had some great job today, Lloyd. That was a great speech you gave, very inspirational. So we have, I'm speechless. We had Angus Stewart here today.
We did.
We had Angus Stewart. We got to talk to him for about 90 minutes, almost 2 hours.
For the Truth About the Truth documentary.
Yeah, so I look forward to the Truth About the Truth documentary. Angus Stewart is going to be in it, uncut, and he had some really interesting things to say. What would you say is probably the most interesting thing or surprising thing he said to you during the interview?
I just think, I mean, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but considering he is so professional, he's like the model professional, isn't he? And he's so knowledgeable, and he's now a high court, a federal court justice. He was actually surprisingly generous in how open he was about his thoughts about Jehovah's Witnesses, and particularly shunning. He seemed to be very passionate about that subject, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did. And actually, I found it quite interesting the fact that Angus Stewart has been engaging with Jehovah's Witnesses who've not only come to his door, but he's actually done some unwitnessing at the carts, the literature carts. Didn't you find that fascinating?
What? Unwitnessing at the literature carts? Oh, so he's been engaging with witnesses that he sees?
He has, yeah. So one of the things that Angus mentioned was that he's seen the witnesses quite a bit at the carts with no one approaching them. And he did mention the fact that he's gone up to a few of the carts. And I think in the end, he said it was sort of a hopeless venture. But I think he really understands more than anyone else that was part of this commission just how delusional Jehovah's Witnesses are. And I really truly feel that he had compassion for the people that he was interviewing, like BCG and BCB. And it really meant a lot to him that everyone came today.
Yeah, and he was unequivocal as well in basically being very, you could say, condemnatory of how bad Jehovah's Witnesses were in the commission. Because one of the questions, well, again, I don't want to spoil too much, but we asked him about the perception among witnesses seeming to be that they came through the commission very well. And he was under no illusions that that's a total fabrication and that's completely untrue.
Yeah, for those that haven't watched it yet.
Come here, no, come here.
Come on, Javier. So we're live still. We're still streaming.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll move along. So
come on, come on in.
There's still a few people on the live stream. How many? How many are on the live stream now? So that we've gained 3 viewers just from that's. It's rare that we gain viewers from Mark talking. So thank you.
When you consider it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, New York time. So we've lost the entire East Coast because they're all sleeping, and we still have people that are just waking up now watching this in Europe. So thanks everybody for watching. We're with Javier Ortiz, the director of The Truth About the Truth, along with
Actually, the director is Juan Escobedo.
producer, director. These guys are all doing a very good job, and they landed Angus Stewart. We were just talking about the interview with Angus Stewart. No spoilers.
Javier, what are your thoughts on this event and our work in Australia?
I think it was a productive week. This event was the highlight of it all, and I'm happy we were able to make it here. And I want to thank everyone who follows Lloyd's channel and the Facebook page because we're here because of you. So thank you all.
The response was amazing to the request for help, let's call it. And yeah, we're close to ending production now, aren't we? Maybe a few more months.
Yeah, I think we have 1 or 2 more trips to do and a couple of more interviews to do, but we should be ready to go post-production 2019, December.
And we got Angus Stewart.
And we got Angus Stewart.
And Paul Grundy.
And Paul Grundy. It's been a fanboy week.
So to those of you who made it all the way through to this part, hopefully this is a small reward. So watching.